Welcome, everyone, to our monthly Recruiter on Call with Jobs. I am delighted to welcome Nick Pasiti from Monarch Staffing as my guest recruiter today. So I'm going to give you a little introduction on me, and then I will have Nick introduce himself. So I'm Lynne Williams. I wear a couple different hats. Hat number one, girls gotta eat. So to make a living, I write resumes, LinkedIn profiles, LinkedIn company pages, and focus on keywords. In addition, I'm the executive director of a 501c3 nonprofit called Great Careers Network. And we run about 18 to 25 monthly events, typically online, and this is one of them. So I'm based in the Philadelphia suburbs, Paoli, Pennsylvania specifically, and I welcome another Philadelphia suburbs guest. So Nick, tell us, first of all, how long have you been a recruiter?
Thanks, Lynn. Yes, so I've been a recruiter since about 2014, so 12 years now.
Okay,
And
well,
even prior to that, I did have some interviewing and recruiting and other roles, but wasn't my primary function. So
all right. So tell us a little bit about Monarch Staffing. Now, I've had internal recruiters and talent acquisition from companies as guests. I've also had external recruiters and search agents and whatnot, but we have Monarch Staffing. So tell us about Monarch Staffing and how is that different from some of the other types of staffing and recruiting functions that go on?
sure, we are. Uh, we're mainly in the Delaware County, Delaware Valley area. So we are very much a local recruiting agency. Our owner, Laura Casper, started it back in 2001. So we are celebrating 25 years this year. Yes, thank you. Again, mainly Delaware County, Montgomery County, Chester County, and Philadelphia. We do staff out of state and other areas, but that is our primary focus. I would say what makes us, different and stand out would be again that local presence, really understanding local candidates and local clients, and understanding the distance for commute and what that means to people. And when people say, I don't want to commute half an hour or whatever it might be, in their different situations, that's really important. But we do focus on a lot of different areas, mostly clerical positions, but I really can't say that anymore because we actually are doing a lot more light industrial engineering, and a little bit of things outside of what we used to do. I would say that in the last 5 years we've really shifted from just doing clerical to really spreading our wings, if you will, to into the different areas. So
Yeah, I mean, don't we all evolve? Not only as individuals, but as companies, we have to kind of go with the flow with the economy and the market and the demands of the market and whatnot.
mhm.
Now, I've known Monarch for well over a decade because of what I've been doing. Once upon a time, I was a job seeker, and then I um, jumped off that proverbial entrepreneurial cliff and started doing my thing. So Monarch is very well known and very well respected in the area. So tell us a little bit about what's going on in your world. What are the trends and changes in the hiring landscape right now? What are you seeing? What's happening out there? I mean, I run the largest job seeker group in the region through our meetup, but and I hear earfuls every day. So let's flip that script. And
Mhm.
what are you finding out from employers as well as the job seekers that come to you?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're seeing kind of them as the same complaint. I would say on both sides is that job seekers are getting lost in just the mix, and I say that with not to say that it's just Indeed, ZipRecruiter, and all these different sites, but there's so many ways to apply, and it's so easy to apply that sometimes employers make it almost too easy to apply, where all of a sudden they have 1,000 resumes and they don't know how to go through them.
Hmm.
Um, so I always tell people if they can get to local networking events, meet local employers. You can't really just walk into many businesses anymore. It's even our site where we have our office is not really a place where you can just walk in and interview anymore. So it's a lot of virtual, which is great because we can reach a lot of people, but it does take away a little bit of that human touch. So I would say if you're striking out or you feel like you're not getting a lot of responses back applying to jobs, definitely don't just keep doing the same thing, right? Because it's not working. So again, maybe if it is going to a networking event, and then we can get more into resumes, which I'm sure Lynn will get into, but sometimes it could just be a tweak on your resume that's going to allow you to not get lost in the mix as much. But yeah, so we're hearing that both sides is that, again, it's just, there's just so many easy ways to apply now that people aren't able to get in front of the right people. And then on top of that too is just, again, focusing on the jobs that you want. You don't apply to 100 jobs just because it's easy to apply to them. Try to really go for the ones that you want. And that can also help the whole entire system if we just stop applying to everything too. So
Yeah. So, oh my goodness. So, welcome from Delaware, Portsmouth, Virginia, Hamilton, New Jersey, Houston, Texas, Jersey City, New Jersey, and Manitoba from Winnipeg. Hey, Gregory. So, yeah, we get people coming from all over, and I know, you're mainly sharing jobs from the local area, but all these people coming from around can still learn insights
mhm.
and tips from you as a recruiter in a staffing agency. So, stay tuned from wherever you're chiming in from, and feel free, to tell us where you're coming in from, other than the people that have already shared their locations. So you mentioned resumes. Let's actually talk about resumes. So, what advice do you have for job seekers to craft an effective resume that stands out? I mean, I do this for a
Mhm.
living, and we have not talked about this. There's no
You have not.
prompting here, so I would love to hear your insights, and let's see what you've got to say.
Yeah, and I actually I did talk to all the recruiters that at Monarch too, just because we all have different experiences, but a lot of years of experience doing it. So yeah, mainly it's as I mentioned before, is focus. If you want to have a resume, if you have a different skill set or if you have different types of jobs you're going for, it's probably helpful that your summary, which is that paragraph at the top, or your skills assessment or your skills that you lay out is for the job you're going for.
Mhm.
So it's hard to have 10 different resumes out there, but if you know that this particular job is, you want to highlight certain skills, make sure that you're highlighting them, and that the resume is in a format that is readable not only by human but by ATS systems. And the ATS, so the applicant tracking system, uh, it can easily weed out, if it's like a copied PDF or something. It has to be text that can be read by a
Yeah.
system and by a human. Pictures, I mean, there's a debate on that. Uh, Pictures, probably, I don't know, Lynn, maybe you know better than me too, just all the resumes you're writing, but they're not really that helpful when you're applying to jobs, especially online. And they take up space. They take up space where you could be having really important information on your resume. So we're seeing that. Accuracy is another one. If you have a LinkedIn presence out there, which you should, um, make sure that your dates are all the same. Make sure that all the jobs are the same, and that there's not something in there that people are going to look at and say, well, this person said they were here for 4 years, but on their resume it looks like they're only here for 2 years. So just make sure everything is matching. And then when you are asked about what's on your resume or on your LinkedIn profile, that you can speak to it. Don't just put
Yes.
fancy lines or fancy words from AI. AI is a tool. We don't have anything against you using AI as a tool. Just don't let AI write your whole resume. Um,
Amen.
it's more and more obvious. I mean, I've seen resumes that literally have the same, like, bullet points that that people are just
Wow.
pulling from wherever. But yeah, so that's just really important. There is an art, I would say, to writing a decent resume. Um, and you definitely, like I said, have to make sure that it's going to be readable by an ATS and by a human. Um, and that's really what the feedback I got from my recruiters and just my own experience too.
That's great. That's very helpful for me because that kind of echoes and my philosophies. I believe in having one solid base resume.
I agree with that.
And you take that base resume and you tailor it to each job you're going to apply to, just kind of like you said, change up that profile summary
Mm-hmm.
paragraph, change up those core competencies, make sure that you got matchy with the job title between, what you're applying for and what's on the resume. You only have one LinkedIn profile. So it's
Yep.
got to be, a really well written LinkedIn profile with content from the base resume, but you don't want to put any resumes on your LinkedIn profile because it's not customized to the job that you want to put
Exactly.
on.
Yep.
So I like a pop of color for a human resume, then it looks like it's not AI written. And then for the applicant tracking systems, yes, I do deconstruct and do give clients a second resume. That's pretty much what I call boring black and white. I'm not a fangirl of boring black and white resumes for humans. I like personally a little pop of color, but I do take it out for the ATS systems. And when you're in a Word document, folks, if you go file, print, save as PDF, that is a readable PDF.
Mm-hmm.
Don't take your resume and take a screenshot with your phone or run it through a printer scanner because that is an image that is not a readable PDF, just like Nick
Exactly.
said.
Yep.
So, yeah, got it. Now, there's some recruiters that like to have zip codes when after the city state. Does your ATS system do zip codes or no?
Yeah, I don't think it. Yeah, it'll extract it. It will. The one that we use. I mean, I don't see any issue with that. We always just tell people you don't put your full address anymore. We don't. People don't need to know what street you live on.
Exactly.
But
Yeah.
if they definitely a city and a state and a zip code is fine. Yeah, we don't have any issues with zip codes, at least that I know of.
Normally, I don't put a zip code on, but another local recruiter in life sciences here, he's like, "Oh no, I like zip codes." I'm like,
Yeah,
"Okay."
I'm kind of indifferent to it, I guess. I mean, in some area, in Philadelphia, there's like 25 different zip codes, but just I guess it just
Yeah.
depends on preference on that.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to welcome folks from, some things got buried quickly, but St. Paul, Minnesota, Florida, Malvern, Pennsylvania. Um, Leah, we're going to talk about the LinkedIn profile in a hot minute. We have somebody from here from India. So, wow. And then, okay, so we have a question is from your perspective, what is the most important section of the resume?
I think it would be your skills profile or summary up top. Um,
Okay.
and I think it's important because that's the only way that a human recruiter, is probably going to continue reading, if that's interesting to them. And accuracy again, spelling mistakes, all that obviously goes into that too. But if that's well written, I'm going to want to know
Mm-hmm.
more about you. If it's something that if I think it's what 6 or 7 seconds is what the average time is now that
Exactly. Yes.
a human looks at a resume before deciding if they're
Mm-hmm.
going to keep reading or if they're going to move on. So I
Yeah.
would definitely say that the summary skills profile up top, would be, in my opinion,
You
most
know,
important.
I put the skills in 3 columns on the
Mhm.
pretty resume, the human resume, but not on the deconstructed resume. That goes in a whole different area. But I put my words in alphabetical order because your brain works differently than my brain versus somebody else's brain, right? And if you see it's alphabetical order and you're skimming and scanning, you're then processing, well, what are the must-haves, nice to haves? Oh, he, she also has, right? Versus trying to put what that job seeker felt was the most important thing, that was coming out of their brain in their skill set. So
Yeah.
I'm an alphabetical girl. That's just me. And then another thing that I'm really big on is metrics. I make all my clients put in metrics on each and every single bullet point. How'd you help a company make money, save time, improve processes? Did you work in a 256 hospital bed hospital? Did you supervise, 8 people? Did you work on a team of 10 or, whatever? It doesn't all have to be individual contributions, but I like to see dollars, numbers,
Yeah,
and percents.
I agree with that too. Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
Okay, so let's talk about LinkedIn and personal branding. So, do you go to people's LinkedIn profiles and review them? And what's your overall take on what you see?
All the time. Clients, candidates, I think it's important. And I do think I see it. There's a question there from Leah. How important is the LinkedIn profile? I think for most industries, it's very important. I think it's really somewhere that you can share information about yourself too. I mean, if it's something where you want to share a certification that you have, uh, you can put resumes, you can put videos, you can put all sorts of content on there. Obviously, don't want it to be junked up, but it is. I think it's really important, and it's something that we all look at internally at Monarch when we're speaking with a client, especially. We want to know more about them. We want to know who they worked with before, what companies they worked with before, and candidates. Again, we're going to look at their resume. We're going to look at their LinkedIn. It just helps us better place the person too if we have just a better idea of what they're about. Sometimes we'll even see something on their LinkedIn that isn't on their resume, and maybe it is from a little bit 10 years ago, 15 years ago, but it could be a really impressive thing to have on your resume. So we'll say, why don't you add that back in in some way, some form? We can add that back in. So yeah, I think it's really important to have a LinkedIn presence for sure. And we do
Yeah,
that.
I do too. I think, personal branding and this is your chance to make yourself shine. And LinkedIn is not just for job seekers, it's for people who are employed and self employed and whatnot. It's for every career professional. And let me tell you, I see so many LinkedIn profiles. Some people haven't even customized their LinkedIn URL, and that's like basic 101,
Yep.
step one.
Yep.
um, and I see some people that put their job titles and their companies in their headline, and they're like, no, this is your personal brand. What is it that and what's your skill set and whatnot. So there's a lot of employed people out there who, believe me, I wish they would call me. I could definitely help them improve their personal brand. So, do you see people, kind of building a personal brand, or is it a lot of basics where it's like, I think they could make improvements?
Uh, yeah, it's definitely a mix. I mean,
Hmm.
we try to advise people who don't have maybe a strong LinkedIn profile that they should maybe make it a little uh, more impressive. I mean, it really is. It's
Yeah,
your opportunity to shine. It's your opportunity to kind of brag a little bit about what you've done. And
yeah.
yeah, I would say you see your professionals, especially like your marketing professionals. They always have really good LinkedIn profiles. It's funny that the HR people sometimes don't really have they're so focused on their accomplishments and everything, but they don't really have there's no like
So it's
flash
it's
to
so
it.
funny you
Yeah.
say that. So LinkedIn offered me a beta test. So like right under my headline, there's this little button that says "Get advice from me," and I made like this super duper special price for this exciting launch of this new feature from LinkedIn. I want to take advantage of this. And so an HR person did book with me
Mm.
today, and they've got like 4 words in their headline. So I'm like, yes, we've got a lot to talk about here, to help you build your brand. So yeah, it's true. I actually have had a lot of marketing people as clients.
Oh, good.
They know how to market businesses, but they may not know how to market themselves with career documents. It's a different kind of writing.
It is.
Absolutely a different kind of writing. Yeah. Okay, so Johnny Shaw's here. He says Philadelphia region. He's from Delco. I mean, come on now, Johnny. And Nick is a Delco boy too.
Oh, yes.
So Johnny does attend the Delco Meets for Business networking meeting that I attend. Lisa goes to the Ridley Park one, and I go to the Broomall one. So you'll see some posts from me on my LinkedIn profile for this Delco very fun networking group that we go to. So maybe we'll see you at one of these, Nick.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about interview preparation. So, how could job seekers best prepare for interviews as candidates that you're going to submit? And do you assist them in any way, shape, or form with their interview prep?
Yeah, definitely. So we always, the standard is basic is just look at the company's website, learn what they do, look at their. I always tell people look at their LinkedIn page because a lot of times you'll see, posts about the company, some news that might not have made their website, and just really kind of educate on that end. When it comes to interviewing with the client, we do like to prep our candidates as much as possible. Especially if we know that the person you're interviewing with has a certain interview style that might be challenging. There are some companies that we work with that we know ask a lot of behavioral questions. What happened when, give me a time when you helped a coworker, XYZ, something, those types of questions. But we know if they're going into it and it's going to be more of just a conversation and the person is really just looking for a personality fit. Companies look for both. I think that we'll probably get into soft skills here in a moment, but personality fit can be just as or more important in some cases than having all the bullet points that you saw in the job description. So I would say that we like to prep them as much as we know. If it's a new company, we'll still prep them on what we think would be good to bring up and not bring up, things like that. Some people just need general coaching when it comes to interviewing because we've already interviewed them, so we know some of their challenges. That things that maybe they overshared or they didn't talk enough about something. So yeah, really just be ready like that. And but yeah, we've known people who've gone in interviews and like thanked us, like, oh my gosh, like if you didn't prep us, like this would have been like a lot more challenging. So yeah.
So here's a little couple tips from me for interviewing. So if you are doing a phone screening, or well, not a phone screening, like a Zoom screening, if you have a piece of paper and you take your scissors and cut a hole out and you tape that around your camera, you can take a little black Sharpie and make little notes around that so you remember you're still looking at the camera, but you remember those little stories that you want to, share for those behavioral interview questions. I wrote an article. It's on the Great Careers website. I've written about 400 articles, but it's on the Great Careers website. And it's if you look up AI, I'll try and put the link in there down in the comments somewhere. But if you look up AI, you'll see it's a very long, comprehensive article about interviewing skills and star stories and questions to ask and whatnot. So here's my tip. I think people should prepare 7 to 10 star stories. So like if you were asked, for example, about give me a time when you had to face a conflict resolution or do problem solving or work in solve a team problem. You could use one star story and you could twist it, 3 different ways depending on the question. So if you have 7 to 10 star stories prepared, then you can, work those behavioral interview questions. That's my tips. I don't do interview coaching, but I do write about it and I do presentations on it.
Yes, great advice.
So, okay. Are there a couple interview questions that you feel that, candidates should be prepared to answer other than tell me about yourself?
Yeah. So some of the ones that, people get hung up on a lot are tell me about, tell me about your best day or your worst day. We've
Oh,
seen that come up a lot, and it's, I hate to say that employers are trying to trick you, but I think they just want to see how kind of creative you and on the spot you can answer a question like that. Give me an example of your best day, worst day, or give me an example of a time when you had a conflict with a coworker and how
hmm
did you handle it? How was it resolved? And especially if it's a supervisory role, you know, the same type of questions when they ask, did you have a situation where you had to approach a conflict with two employees or multiple employees? So they can be tricky if you're not ready for them. The other one is, not tell me about yourself, but why do you want to work for this company? Why do you want to work for us?
yeah.
And I see more
hmm
people get tripped up with that. Just I've even had people that have answered like, well, because I need a job. Like that's the absolute wrong answer for that question is because I need a job. No, like you want to be able to, again, learn about the company and know, what why do you think you would be an asset? Why do you think that you're going to be uh, a good part of that team? And that having that answer ready in your mind is big.
Yeah.
I think again, it comes down to, are you going to be a good fit for that office, for that environment? So
hmm
definitely be prepared with more of those questions of just explaining why you would be a good fit in there. I think that's really important.
All right. So I see Lisa's on the call. So she says, "Yay, DM4B." That's Delco Meets for Business. Um, anyway, we have a question from Gregory. So I'm gonna like reframe that a little bit because I know where Gregory is coming from. Um, Gregory's from Canada, and he's gonna want to know a little bit about neurodiversity.
Mm-hmm.
So, do you have employers that are open to candidates who are neurodivergent? Have you had candidates interview that are neurodivergent? Gregory, I don't think he can answer about stats from Canada, but because we're here in the United States, but I'm the mother of an AUDHD adult child, autistic and ADHD, and I have 9 Pennsylvania Department of Education certifications. So I did teach special ed and gifted and talented and everything in between. So I understand the challenges that people with who are neurodivergent, where they're coming from and trying to get jobs and whatnot. So, can you give us any insights on anything about um, people that have disabilities or are neurodivergent?
Yeah, I think from just personal and my own observations is actually when COVID happened and people were started to work from home and interview uh, remotely. I actually think it helped that population a little bit because they were able to interview, uh, whether it was on the phone or through Teams or whatever it might be, and
hmm
we were really looking. People were really looking at raw skill sets and looking and maybe not judging as much. I don't want to put any employer, not say that they were or not, but I think we definitely saw a shift in kind of acceptance and now we don't even think about it as like something that we worry about because we interview people all the time with all different coming from all different types of situations. And I haven't had an employer ever say to me directly or anything like that. And we've had plenty of people hired that are neurodivergent.
hmm
So I'd have never had anybody say to me like that was a reason why they didn't hire somebody. And I do
hmm
think that, I think there was a big shift again that we were able to kind of take a step back during COVID and hiring got a lot different. And I think it was really important just to get really good people into the workforce, um, and the people that want to work and they want to show up and they want to be there and they want to be part of the team. And that was,
hmm
uh, again, from all different backgrounds. So, yeah, I would say I don't have any stats on that for us. Definitely, we don't track that, but it's an interesting question, an interesting outlook. So
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think about it every day because I live with my
sure.
ADHD adult child, and all I know is she's brilliant and she has a photographic memory, and I don't look at it as a disability. She has actually some superpowers and some abilities that people who are not neurodivergent, can offer. So let's talk about skills and qualifications. What are the most sought after skills that people are looking for right now?
Yeah, back to yeah, back to soft skills and overall fit and willingness to learn and you being flexible in some ways. When a job description is only it can only say so much, and then when you get into the job, it might be a little bit different. So, kind of being able to maybe wear a different hat here and there when you're in the job, being a little flexible, and again, just being a good team player. And it sounds like cliche, but that's really important.
Hmm.
Obviously, you have if it's a like an accounting job, you have to have the accounting skill set for that position. But just as a whole, I think it's really important that people know going into a job that you know they might have to work with other people, and you know their skills have to align with the job description, obviously, but they also have to be able to you know jump in and be able to adapt with whatever's going on in that office environment. And same goes for the client too. Sometimes somebody comes in that might be a little bit different or might have a different skill set or different than they thought, and the rest of that team's going to have to embrace them too. But I do believe that right now we're seeing a lot of our employer clients telling us like, this person had a great skill, but you know something they said will lead us to believe that they might not just be a good fit for us, or they're going to be challenging
Hmm.
because they don't want to work with a team or whatever it might be. So for us,
Yeah.
that's a big shift we're seeing more and more is that people want to work with the people that are going to be, again, team players.
Team
And
players.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, but other than that, I mean, just your overall technical ability. We're seeing, everything is shifting too with that. A lot of stuff's automated, AI, whatever. But still being able to know how to use Microsoft is really important, and Google, or just having a little bit of that knowledge is obviously helpful too. So
Yep. I want to check out a couple comments here before
sure.
I take go off on another tangent because they get buried quickly and I can't go back and retrieve them. Um, oh, okay. So this is a really good question from Svetlana. I have ADD. Would you suggest that people click on the disability button on their application before meeting with the employer? Um, Something or meet with them and disclose it later on in the interview process? I have my 2 cents worth, but I want to hear what Nick's got to say.
We don't have any uh, check mark or checkbox for something like that. I'm
Mhm,
I didn't actually really know that employers were still able to do that in many cases,
mhm.
but so I don't really have an answer right off the top of my head. I would say um, I think it's always important to be upfront. I didn't know that was actually a checkbox anywhere. I feel like that would be
Yeah,
discriminating.
it is on some
Yeah,
applicant tracking systems. They
yeah.
ask people if they would like to disclose a
Okay.
disability and veteran status and all that.
And
Um,
if like reasonable
so
accommodation and things like that, but yeah.
here's my 2 cents worth on that. As a mom of an AUDHDer, um, I believe you need to get the employer to fall in love with you first. And then if you get hired, then I think you go to the HR department and share the accommodations you need. So there's a website, I think it's Ask Jan.
Hmm.
I don't know whether it's .org or .com, Ask Jan. And they have a whole list of a whole bunch of different accommodations um, that might be helpful. But you should know best and what it is that you need. in order to be successful at the job. So, okay, so Kamlish says she did 2 internships, and yes, you can list both on your resume, in my humble opinion, because yes, that'll give you extra different skill sets. Let's see. Somebody's asking about the recent administrative changes affecting the number of OPT H-1B workers. I see a lot more contract roles. I don't know. I don't know if you can speak to that or not.
I don't have much with that. I mean, I'm familiar with the terms, but we don't really staff get involved.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Somebody else's things getting buried here. Why do we have this? Okay. Yeah, Greg's mentioning the Workday class action lawsuit. Yeah. Yeah, that's that applicant tracking system, and that's what Workday has to deal with that themselves.
Yeah.
So that's why if you do local networking, or if you are looking for a local job, it's the human to human contact. It's people hire people, not bots. So you get to build relationships with local people. All right. How important are soft skills in the hiring process, and which ones are particularly valued? Now, I already heard from you, flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
Another synonym of that would be adaptability.
Sure.
Another one I find is resilience.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot I see in job descriptions when I deal with job seekers as clients is communication skills, verbal and written. Anything else you want to add to that?
I think that covers it. The adaptability, like you said, communication, yeah, obviously,
and interpersonal skills for
yeah.
that team management. You mentioned team management. Yeah,
yeah,
I think we already kind of covered that. So, all right. So now's my time to do a quick commercial break and let you know how we're producing this event every month. Aside from our guest recruiters who come and visit us, this event is promoted by 2 organizations. One is greatcareers.org. You can see that, on my name underneath my face here. And we are a 501c3 nonprofit based in the Philadelphia region. We do mostly online career education for job seekers, for client seekers, meaning entrepreneurs, as well as people who are employed. So everybody, needs to engage in career transition, career management at some point in time in their life. So, join us to come and learn and network. The other organization that promotes this event is called the Thought Leadership Branding Club. And that is based out of Toronto, believe it or not. And I've been a member of that for over 5.5 years. And I get a lot of great value out of it as an entrepreneur, especially the tech clinics. And I help with the LinkedIn clinics. And we have a Claude co-work session, and there's coaching sessions. And then there's some master classes. So later today, there is a master class. So if you go to thoughtleadershipbranding.club, every first and third Thursday, you'll see a free masterclass on Zoom. So, come and check that out. Now, I see Justin put a note in here, and I hope it doesn't get buried too fast. Let's see. So he's going through career change. He was a, business owner, and he is now going back to school to become an accountant. And, how do you suggest people sort of reinvent themselves when they're making a pivot on their resume and LinkedIn profile? He's pursuing his CPA license, and he's very keenly interested in strategic tax planning. I've had conversations, so I'm like recapping from our conversations. So if he's just jumping into accounting as a newbie, but has like 20 years of experience in something else before, is that like considered entry level? Might he be considered overqualified? And any advice you have for career pivoters? He
Mhm.
just has a new interest that he's
Sure.
pursuing.
Yeah, we have a lot of experience with people that are pivoting or shifting, uh, especially with maybe somebody who hasn't worked in a while for whatever reason, like a medical reason, or they were taking care of family, and they've also making a shift there, coming back into the workforce. They kind of are in the same boat where they feel like, I have all this experience, but it might not be relevant to what I want to do now. And, again, local networking, if possible, is always really helpful. And there's, because you get to know people and you get to uh, actually introduce yourself and explain that your situation to some employers that way. Staffing agencies are great for that, because we can get right in front of the hiring manager without feeling like you're getting weeded out by the systems before you even get to them. And again, I think a strong resume summary, something that is explaining that. A lot of times we always tell people, if they're making a shift, in your summary paragraph in your resume,
Mm-hmm.
explain that, I have I've gained all these great skill sets in my previous job, and now I'm pursuing this. And it
Mm-hmm.
shows that you're the underqualified, overqualified thing is really frustrating. I understand that, but at least hopefully there you can at least say, I have experience working. I have experience working in with people, and I have all these great skills. Now I'm just using it a little bit differently in a different field. And if you can spin that and write that well into that summary, I think you can, that'll help too. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
sure Lynn has experience writing resumes for people in similar circumstances. But that's one thing I would say. And again, um, really, your LinkedIn profile will also help that too. Especially if you get a CPA certification or something like that, you can put that on there, and that'll definitely boost people finding you.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So Justin is local, by the way.
Oh, great, great.
And yeah, so I know you have accounting positions. We're going to talk about the positions that you have open, that you're trying to fill now. But are any of them like tax related? I know Justin has a keen interest in um, taxes. Believe it or
Yeah,
not, God bless him.
nothing at the moment. We do get new jobs on all the time, but I don't have anything tax specific at the moment.
All right. Well, tell us like the types of what are the categories of the categories of the roles you're trying to fill, and then let's go to some of the titles. You can just kind of rattle things off.
Sure.
I put a Word document, your Word document with your current roles in the chat, and I put the link to the website in the comments in this event. So, but yeah. Or do you want me to rattle them off? Because I've got
No, I
it
have them here.
handy
Yeah.
here.
So we do
Oh,
have a
good.
number of jobs in accounting and finance. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Accounts payable is one. We have a accounts payable clerk. So one's more of a specialist, a little bit higher level, a little bit more experience, and one's more of a on the clerk level, purchasing coordinator and patient financial services coordinator, which is more healthcare related, but it's still a financial position. We're currently working with a client to get a few. We should have two more positions posted shortly. Just I have to secure a few things on our end, but they are both accounting. One actually is a tax specific job, but it's a little bit different, and I could get more into it with Justin if it might be a good fit. Um, it has to deal with hospitality tax and local municipalities. So that's one thing we're working with. We always have a lot of administrative and customer service jobs, uh, and that could be from we have a few work at home jobs where you're on the phone. We have a few jobs that are, working as more of like a coordinator role. In one job we have is within a warehouse but it's still kind of customer service administrative. We do have a lot of retail roles with a few companies right now that we're working with, in food service. HR, we're a little light right now, but again, we're working with some clients now to get some more HR jobs. And we do have a direct hire right now for human resources generalist in Newtown Square, right in Delco. And some of the skilled trades, like I mentioned earlier in the call, we're getting more into light industrial and trades. So we do have a few jobs with maintenance manager, building engineer, and pool techs. So there's a couple of companies we're working with that are in that season where they're starting to close pools. So people who might have experience working, doing that, we do have some pool technician jobs open there. But again, also we do have roles that we'll be posting probably again today that from some other companies that we're working with. So I would just, once you get into the Monarch system and into our ATS, and you sign up for updates, we'll send jobs out based on we don't just blast everybody in our system, but we will send out emails to people that might have in their resume or somewhere that they've told us something that they'd be interested in. So if you said to us in the past, hey, I want to be on any jobs that are in finance, then you'll get email blasts from us when we have new jobs in finance. We also have a monthly newsletter that goes out as well that has a lot of the jobs posted.
Awesome. All right. So I did give Johnny the link to jump on stage, and I see he'd like to come on. But Johnny, would you be kind enough, or Meryl Cass, would you be kind enough to put the link in the chat? So if anybody else would like to jump on stage with us, they can do that. I'm gonna let Johnny up, but I have a couple. Let's see. I gotta find him. There he is. I have a couple other questions to ask before I have Johnny speak. But Johnny, if you could put the link, or Meryl Cass or somebody, if you could put the link in the in the chat, the public chat, in case anybody else wants to ask questions. So, what about tips for job
on link?
Go ahead, Johnny.
Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I logged out of the LinkedIn chat in order to not have two conversations in the same thing trying to stream simultaneously. So I don't, unless I can make the chat here and post that and restream for LinkedIn. I guess it doesn't work that way, does it? It's kind of unidirectional.
Yeah. It's where you posted before. You would take the link and post it again. Yeah. Do you want to pop out and pop back in?
Okay. Yeah, that was in.
I appreciate that. That way we get.
Okay.
I don't know if Meryl's able to come on, but I sent two people the link to the the chat to come up on stage. So pop out and come back in.
Okay.
Thank you.
I may not have to pop out. I think go into LinkedIn. Let me see. If I need to, all right, I'll be back.
Sounds good. All right. So, Nick, what tips do you have for job seekers to reach out to you for an initial introduction? Are you open to people reaching out to connect on LinkedIn?
Yes, LinkedIn's great. And I think, Lynn, I don't know if you put it in the invite. My email address is fine too. And our website also has all the jobs I mentioned and more as they get added to. So monarchstaffing.com. We do have, I would say LinkedIn or email is pretty much the best to get to me directly, and we can take it from there. I think someone just mentioned is that get lost in LinkedIn messages. It's probably just as easy to get lost in my email as my LinkedIn messages, to be honest.
I hear you.
So
yeah, we don't want to talk about the 40,000 unread emails.
But the LinkedIn actually
Lynne is not.
It updates me twice because I'll get the LinkedIn message and I'll get the email telling me I have a LinkedIn message. So maybe LinkedIn is best. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, my inbox has several different sections with large numbers next to them. We don't want to talk about that. So
See, it's a thing. It's okay. All right. So when if you submit a candidate for a position, okay, and they go for an interview, what is the protocol for the follow-up after the interview? How soon should a candidate reach out to you or to the employer for follow-up?
sure, it gets so sometimes people get uncomfortable with when there's an agency involved. If like, do you ask for an email directly? Do you not ask for an email directly when you're in an interview? It's fine if they give you their direct email address and you want to send them a thank you. We always do advise the candidate though to maybe run it by us first. And if they don't get an email directly or email address directly or contact information directly from the hiring manager after that interview, they'll send it to us and then we can send it to them. And then we like doing that because we can also add our own little note like, hey, you know, so-and-so really enjoyed the interview today. They sent us this nice thank you note right after the interview and we sent it right to them. I don't think there's anything wrong with sending an email immediately after you interview, maybe not in your car or something, maybe get home and think about it, exactly what you're going to write. But and I know people, it's not often, but I know people who still will send like a thank you note to people immediately after an interview, and they'll even send them to us sometimes. It's rare, but we still get them. But I think it's good to do it immediately. I wouldn't wait too long because it's just a nice thing to do. And a lot of people do it anymore. Even the email thank you.
You know, I've suggested to people, you know, hey, you could leave and go to a Starbucks or something and do some handwritten notes and go back and deliver it to the receptionist. That's one way. You can also, you know, follow up by email. And let's say you're on a panel interview. Well, you could use your little friend ChatGPT. Hey, draft me 6 different versions of this to make it personalized. And, you know, or you could handwrite stuff in a car and then go back in and deliver it. I mean, there's all different kinds of ways of doing it. But I don't know, I kind of like the personal touch, you know, with the handwritten. But it's not always possible, especially if you're interviewing online. So I see. Thank you, Johnny. I see you did put the studio.restream.io, you know, link in there. So if anybody else wants to come up on stage, you are welcome to. I think we can have a total of 6, or the 2 of us plus 6, or a total of 6. I don't really know with this account, but you know, I encourage anybody that has any questions to come up and ask questions. So Justin, I know you've probably not been on a LinkedIn live stream, so go ahead and click on that and join us. But welcome, Johnny. What kind of questions? Johnny's from Newtown Square, by the way. So Johnny, what kind of questions do you have for Nick?
What kind of questions don't I have for Nick? I have all kinds of questions. Hi, Nick. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
My name's Johnny Shaw. I am the user experience designer, all about the experiences, because life is all about the experiences, isn't it, Lynn?
Absolutely.
Thank you. The question that I have primarily is running a thought through my mind where there's a piece of software that I need if I want to go and shift from self-employment and several contracts of years ago into my true passion of user experience design. I need to master Figma to really fit into that niche. Okay, are you familiar with Figma, Nick?
I'm not.
Okay, Lynn, you've heard of it. I think we may have discussed it.
Yeah.
It's like the default for designing user interfaces on devices and screens, and it's all over the place. For the clients that I currently serve, I have no need for that. I build right into the thing that I'm making. If I'm building a website, they have a budget. I'm not designing a bunch of screens to show them options. I'm building the thing. and they're happy with it. It would probably take 25 years of hands-on website development and full familiarity with the Adobe Creative Cloud, Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign. I think I could be at most 2 weeks away from relative mastery of Figma. I've played with it already a little bit, not hyper intuitive. It's not like you just pick it up and, oh, that's how you use all of these things and where they hide this and where they hide that. In noticing a job that was appearing all over on LinkedIn for months, I started thinking, that would be so perfect for me. But until I can say I've got Figma down, I don't even want to reach out to them. I'll hurt my chances because that's like the top requirement.
Right.
And then I thought, you know what? Could I tell them, listen, Figma, I know the basics of it, but it's going to be, you're going to have to hire me knowing that it might take this guy a couple of weeks to master that tool. I've mastered every other one. I mean, come on, Lynn, who got the link here, right? Who shows the initiative and gets stuff done, right?
There you go.
Proof, not even evidence. So it makes me wonder, would enthusiasm for that opportunity get them to say, hey, well, we've got a bunch of, less white-haired people who already know the tool and seem like good candidates for this position, but they don't have that 25 years of human-to-human experience, and this guy's really interviewing like he knows how to sell ideas, and, like he understands we're a team, we need a team player, we need a certain degree of leadership with humility, and what's the list? Adaptable, resilient, flexible, communicates well, and interpersonal skills. And he writes things down too. So
a note taker.
The basic question here, right? The basic question is putting yourself out for opportunities that you're not quite qualified for based on what they're asking, or waiting the 2 weeks it's going to take me to really, on the side of everything I'm doing, get those skills.
Yeah.
And that's
a great question. It's kind of like even related to Justin. Like, he's just getting his, CPA candidacy. It's new territory for him, but he's got other experience and life experiences and that, team player and whatnot, working with people in the past. So same thing.
Yeah.
So what do you got to say about that?
It's in process, right? So, I mean, when you're listing it on a resume or somewhere on Indeed or wherever you might be listing it, I guess, would you be putting it as in process? And then are you reaching out to the hiring manager directly to explain, maybe in like a cover letter? I mean, I'm not a big cover letter person, but a lot of times maybe in a cover letter or some way to get it to the hiring manager to explain that you are in process with it and your background, you have 25 years experience doing all of these other things that are building blocks to help with that. Other than that, and how do you get in front of a hiring manager? I mean, that's the most difficult part. But I think if you're able to explain it in some way that can get to them without showing up at their door or something. I mean, I don't know. So is there?
Do you ever get creative and the creative industry roles? Just Nick?
We have done it before, but we actually have a couple other staffing firms that we know that are like our friends that are more into that in that industry that we would refer them to and would be able to speak that language a little bit better. So we don't ever want to mislead that we can do certain things that we can't. It's not expertise. We have filled them in one-off situations for clients that we already had. But a lot of times we will point those candidates and even sometimes clients in the direction of a firm that we're comfortable with. So that could be a conversation that we would have too.
So I know there's research out there when job seekers look at job descriptions. I think men have more guts to go for some job descriptions that they're not, as qualified for as women, according to the research that I've read. But I think, if you've got some familiarity, you don't have to be super duper proficient, but if you've got some familiarity and you are what I would call autodidactic, you can learn new software and
Mhm.
technology and whatnot. You got to go sell yourself. It's those interpersonal skills and the communication skills and the teamwork. I think Nick said about culture fit before, right? Are you going to be a fit for working with the company? So, nothing ventured, nothing gained. I'd go for it.
Mhm.
Any more questions from Johnny before we go over to Justin? Nope.
I think I'm good with that for now. And if anything else comes to mind, I'll raise a hand.
Thanks, Johnny.
There's
All
time.
right.
Thank you,
And
Lynn. Thank you.
sure. All right. And Justin, is this your first LinkedIn live stream?
This is, you might have seen that I joined from YouTube before because I wasn't exactly sure how to join from LinkedIn.
Awesome.
It's good to see you again, Lynn, and nice to meet you, Nick. I appreciate what you putting up with my very long message before. I'm like, hey, maybe I just typed this once.
Sure.
But I like what you said about, since I am doing a career pivot, including that context in the summary, which I thought was important because the jobs I'm applying to don't really match my experience. I do have a little experience in accounting, but none in tax specifically. So I am working with Lynn on how to fit that in because she won't let me use more than 6 lines in my summary. And I feel like that takes up 1.5 lines. And there's important information I need to include in there. But I guess since I am currently, I kind of have 2 questions for you. One is I currently am a business owner. I own my own S Corp and I do independent consulting and blah, blah, blah. But I'm applying with 20 years of experience to entry-level tax roles. I had heard some conflicting feedback. One person saying any hiring manager that's looking to hire you as a W-2 employee, if you put the name of your business and business owner, they're immediately going to think that you're trying to moonlight, take a second job, and trying to fill up additional time or part-time, and that it wouldn't necessarily be a good idea. Then there's the other side of, I've owned and operated a business for 11 years. I'm looking to do strategic tax planning for small businesses like myself. So I was curious your opinion on how would you recommend that be phrased? Should it be included or not? And then I'll leave my second question because it's kind of a little different.
Yeah, that comes up. And I can't really put one answer to it. It's definitely case by case. And it depends on the client. If they feel like there's going to be, especially if it's in a similar industry, if they feel like there's going to be, some conflict there, not just time, but, conflict of interest. And, but I do think that you have to be careful with that because I do know a lot of employers that see, small business owners or even somebody that just has another job. It could just be a part-time job somewhere else. It could just be something else on their resume. It does deter a little bit. I mean, people get nervous about that. It can be explained, right? If you get that opportunity to explain it. But I do think, Lynn, I don't know, with how you could put that on a resume a little bit differently. Like, I know people who say, hey, I have this business, but it runs itself, or my wife helps me run it, or somebody else is running it, even though it's on but you don't want to lie, right? And say that it's not something that you're doing. But, I think it's how you put it on there.
Positioning. What I normally do is I tell people to take out owner founder and I go with managing principal or something along those lines. Unless the company, your name is in the company name, then that's a little bit hard to sweep under the carpet. But, I actually have a few clients right now who have businesses and, they do have spouses that are involved in the businesses and, they are ready to move on to doing their own thing. So it's all about positioning and yes, you gotta clearly sort of, but succinctly communicate that in that profile summary paragraph.
Yeah,
about why you're pivoting and et cetera.
Because the first, instance where they think, you're spending time doing something else, or you don't always want that to be in the back of their mind. So
yeah, I put like as my first bullet under that job role, I changed the title from Lynn's advice to not use the word owner and write managing principal. That's definitely a good idea. But I made sure to list in my first bullet that I'm winding down client engagements because I'm pursuing this as a second career total change.
Yeah.
But I didn't know whether from the kind of the base template, your base resume, like Lynn was saying, should I just like generally exclude talking about it at all and really just address it if I get to an interview, because obviously I can address it in person. But I just thought with specifically because I am seeking roles that are strategic tax planning and advisory roles for small business owners like myself, that's what made me go, or maybe the answer is it totally depends on who the company is, who the hiring manager is. If you're applying to KPMG, definitely don't put it on there. If you're applying for a small regional tax firm that's got 3 CPAs and it's a family-owned business, then in that scenario, you probably would include it.
Yeah, you just don't want to get into the circumstance too, because the internet, right, you can find anything. I mean, if you don't put it on there and then someone's doing like a quick search or trying to find more information about somebody, and well, wait a second, is this the same guy who has a business? Well, he didn't put it on his resume. He didn't tell us anything about it. So I think there is a piece of it being transparent is good.
Yeah.
Like Lynn
digital prints.
Yeah. How you position it is definitely important, I think.
Yeah, and especially in an industry where integrity is important, I think that's don't omit important information.
Yeah.
Okay, so and I guess my second question was, because I feel like, and obviously I know I'm going to keep working with Lynn to try to help me get through the AI resume screeners and ATS systems. But since I am in this weird place where I'm overqualified in terms of years, but underqualified in terms of industry, what is your opinion on old schooling it and actually going around to local businesses, put on something other than a t-shirt and, go small, since I want to work for a smaller firm to get my experience for my CPA license? Is that currently looked down upon to kind of just walk into an office and say hi, like, especially if I put a friendly attitude about it? I'm
right.
I'm a smiley kind of guy.
Yeah, I mean, we are actually, I just think about our salespeople that go out and try to get business, right? Cold calling is in any way is difficult. So I don't think it's like, as long as you're not like trespassing, right? I don't think it's necessarily always going to, end poorly. I mean, I think some people are just like, no, like you have to go apply on our website, or, we don't have our HR person here. They could push you away easily. I don't know that I would necessarily advise it all the time. It's just because of how you might get treated in some cases, but I don't think I think it could work. Especially if you get like kind of that old school like business owner who's like, oh, well, this guy, he has moxie.
Took the time to come actually come over here and seek me out and actually introduce himself. Yeah,
and for your role, it's you're going to be walking into like a receptionist probably, or a secretary or somebody at the front, and you're going to get gatekeeped if you are going to get gatekeeped anyway. So I don't think it'd be a terrible idea if it's and hand a resume over and hope it gets to the person that you wanted to get it to. It's definitely a different approach if you're not getting.
So Lisa just chimed in network, and I'm going to reiterate that.
Yeah.
Like that's where relationships happen and people get to know you. You hire people that like, and trust. And, if you go to these different networking events and chambers of commerce and whatnot, like I was at a nonprofit networking event through the Exton Chamber of Commerce last night. 130 people had signed up. It was a lovely event. And I have to post about it. I will do that. But, it is about building relationships locally. And for you, Justin, there is, let me see what I think it's called. It's FENG, but it's thefeng.org, FENG, Financial Executives Networking Group. And so one of our chapters at Great Careers is BANG, Business Executives Networking Group, and FANG. So there's financial executives, that a lot that attend that one, but they have other chapters, right? So I would be hobnobbing with other accounting professionals, as a networking opportunity, even if it is, online. That's okay. So you can network online, you can network in person, and then you definitely have to, network on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Do you have any other questions? Because we probably need to kind of wrap this up.
Nope. Yeah, that's why I'm like, I want to keep it as short as I could so I don't take up too much time.
All right.
Thank you. Nice to meet you, Nick. I sent you an invite on
Yeah.
LinkedIn. Hopefully we can
Awesome. Thanks, Justin.
chat. Thanks.
All right. So, Nick, is there anything else that I've asked that you would like to share, that I've not asked that you would like to share?
No, I just want to say too. So Lisa, who you referenced, works with me. She's our VP of sales. So there's been times when Lisa's gone to an event and she's met a candidate or a job seeker, or even somebody who's in a company who's looking to make a move, and she'll come back to us and say, "Hey, I met this person. They're great," and she'll advocate for them until we help them find something. So it's definitely a good way. And there's plenty of times where I'll go to an event and I'm talking to somebody and then I realize that they're a job seeker. And even though they might have a company on their tag, they're looking, or, they're looking to make a move. So whether you're, employed and looking to make a move or unemployed. So yeah. And a lot of times, if I'm not mistaken, Lynn, candidates can sometimes get either discounted or free invites to some of these networking events, right?
Yeah. And trade shows.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if there's trade or industry shows in your particular field, you could contact the organizers and say, hey, listen, I'm a job seeker. I cannot afford the fee. May I put some volunteers hours in so that I can also go and have some floor time and go introduce myself to, the people in the booths. Now, here's another little tip about trade shows. So if you have a local trade show and you see, who exhibitors coming and they're like out in California, well, usually the exhibitors get a couple free tickets, right? So you could ask the exhibitors from California, hey, do you have any free tickets for this local Pennsylvania trade show for a job seeker so that I can get in the door? Because the organizers have turned me down for volunteering, and I want to go and network. It's like right in my industry, and I'm hoping to make some connections. So there's a couple of different ways that you can work this. Okay, so I have another comment I want to address from Greg, and then we're going to recap your website and all that. So Greg says job seekers can't network with themselves. Greg, I'm going to respectfully disagree with that, because that's exactly what we do at the Great Careers Network. We have job seeker networking meetings, and there's something called a job seeker accountability partner. So if you have a human resources professional and a human resources professional, maybe one is like manufacturing related and maybe one is pharmaceutical related, right? They are looking for jobs every single day. And if they kind of partner up, they can check in with each other as an accountability partner and look out for jobs for one another. So we absolutely positively network with other job seekers for that particular purpose. So, okay, let's recap your website and any other information, links and whatnot you'd like to share.
All right. So monarchstaffing.com. We do have a find jobs section on there. Should be pretty easy to use. I think Lynn clicked on it this morning. And our LinkedIn, follow us on LinkedIn for sure. We have a lot of jobs that will go even up on LinkedIn, or we'll at least put up information about a new job or a newsletter information that's coming out. We also do a lot. If you are local, we do a lot with local charities and community events. So we do keep that posted on the LinkedIn page for Monarch. MonarchStaffing.com, definitely the best place to see the updated jobs. And yeah, I mean, we do have, from time to time, we'll attend even local job fairs, just depending on where it is, the date, if we can get somebody over there. Our team of recruiters there, we are all in the area. We have someone in Jersey, someone in Delaware, and a few of us in Delco here too still. But everybody has worked out of one of our offices in the past, so we all know the area really well.
Awesome. Well, I know Gregory wants to jump up on, but Gregory, we were already 15 minutes over. Sorry about that. So I'm going to have to wrap this up, because I don't know about Nick, but I know I have other calls that are scheduled. So thank you again so much for joining us on behalf of Monarch Staffing. And for any of the job seekers out there, or any career professionals, whether you're self-employed or employed, please join us for career education at greatcareers.org. You'll see our events page. We have a very small membership fee. Basically, it's the price of a cup of coffee a month. It's just a little stipend to pay, just like you'd go to Starbucks and, buy a cup of coffee, or go to the movies and buy a ticket. We're even cheaper than that. So thank you so much for coming, and hope everybody has a great day. Take care.
Thanks for having me, Lynn. Thank you.
Bye.